For thousands of years, hearing music required being physically present with another human being. A song only existed while someone was performing it. Then in the mid-1920s and 30s, recordings changed everything. Music transformed from an event you had to be present for into an object, and musicians initially reacted with fear. I think people today underestimate just how revolutionary recordings actually were. This wasn't just a new business model. This was a completely new relation between humans and music. In the late 1920s and 30s, the American Federation of Musicians, the AFM, became deeply afraid of recorded sound. Before recorded music took over, live musicians were everywhere. Movie theaters had orchestras, restaurants hired pianists, and dance halls had live bands. Even small venues needed real performers. Then synchronized sound and recordings, also known as phonographs, exploded in popularity. Suddenly, one recording could replace entire groups of working musicians. Musicians and the unions who represented them launched a full-scale culture war against recorded music. They called recorded music fake, soulless, and artificial, and warned that
technology is about to destroy the soul of art forever.
Technically, recordings existed long before the panic, but they were initially too limited to fully threaten working musicians. The sound quality was bad, playback was inconsistent, and recording was expensive, and frankly, impractical. The real oh no moment came when several technologies converged in the mid-1920s. Electrical recording dramatically improved audio quality around 1925. Radio exploded, loudspeakers improved, and movie theaters switched to synchronized sound. Suddenly, recording stopped feeling like a novelty and started feeling like competition. And honestly, the fear wasn't irrational. A single record really could replace entire theater orchestras. Thousands of jobs disappeared incredibly fast. The AFM created a fictional villain, a maniacal cold-eyed robot, to serve as the face of the campaign. They spent over $9 million in today's money running full-page ads in newspapers across the United States and Canada. One of the most famous images from the campaign depicted a robot feeding high-quality musical instruments into a meat grinder to produce canned music. They compared live music to fresh food and recorded music to canned food, implying it was processed, stale, and lacking nutritional value for the soul. One ad from 1930 read, "Though the robot can make no music of himself, he can and does arrest the efforts of those who do." Another ad showed a robot at the wheel of a ship, steering musical culture away from its pure course and towards the rocks of industrialism. In their ads, they frequently put the word music in quotes to imply that a recording wasn't legally or artistically entitled to be called music. They even created a music defense league that people could join. Then things escalated even further. In the midst of World War II and all of the chaos, musicians were taking their culture war to nuclear levels. James Petrillo, the head of the Musicians Union, ordered a total strike. For over 2 years, from 1942 to 1944, no union musician in America was allowed to make a record. The union's goal was to force record labels to compensate musicians whose jobs were disappearing because of radio and jukeboxes. Because instrumentalists were on strike, record labels started recording vocal-only tracks, as vocalists weren't in the same union. This is actually what helped kill the big band era and helped give rise to the solo superstar like Frank Sinatra. Then over time, recordings became normalized so deeply that people started treating them as synonymous with musicianship itself. By the 1950s and 60s, having records became the dream of every aspiring music artist. A successful recording artist became the cultural ideal. But the musicians of the late 1920s and 30s weren't crazy. They correctly sensed that technology was about to transform music forever. The arguments they used against records in 1930 sound almost identical to the arguments musicians use against AI music today. The question isn't whether the technology will exist. The question is what parts of human creativity become more valuable once the technology becomes universal. That doesn't automatically mean every criticism of AI is wrong, but it does show that cultural panic around new creative technology is not a new phenomenon. And to be clear, the economic fears today are real as well. Just like in the 1930s, people are afraid of labor replacement. One generated track can potentially replace session musicians, producers, commercial audio work, and even composers. That concern is legitimate, and streaming already turned recordings into infinite, cheap, disposable commodities. And even successful artists make the majority of their income from touring, merchandise, VIP experiences, or direct fan communities. In other words, the recording had already stopped being the product. It became the advertising for the artist. AI just accelerates a trend that was already happening. People knew machine-generated media was theoretically possible for years, but once quality crossed the threshold, the reaction intensified dramatically. And historically, every time creative tools became more accessible, professionals panicked first. But people still want to create, and they still want to tell stories, and they want to hear their emotions and their perspective through music. And for better or worse, now with AI, anyone can. Right now, a lot of AI discussions collapse two different groups into one. The real danger probably isn't someone carefully crafting music that is meaningful to them with AI. It's people generating thousands of nearly identical tracks, barely listening to them, if at all, before uploading infinite variations, hoping that saturation alone will produce them money. Because at that point, music stops being expression and becomes a slot machine of content. So, I don't think the answer is denial, and I don't think the answer is panic. History shows that technology always changes music. Records changed it, radio changed it, streaming changed it, and AI is going to change it too. But every time music changed technologically, new forms of value appeared because in a world flooded with infinite generated content, human presence becomes more scarce. That's exactly what musicians were trying to protect in the first place. Maybe recordings become abundant and universal, while the human connection becomes premium. Because AI can generate song recordings, but it can't live your life, it can't play your show, it can't build your local scene, it can't shake somebody's hand after a set, and it can't turn a room silent with a real performance. Maybe this shift forces artists to stop treating recordings as the final product and start treating them as invitations into a deeper human experience.